Hello, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 here, and Natalie's here as well.
Sup?
What's up, guys? And we have escaped the seal of Orichalcos. We have broken its vicious seal, and because we've broken its vicious seal by pulling bullshit plot warriors out of nowhere from dragons, we can now finally move on to what I possibly believe is worse than being trapped in the seal of Orichalcos. Being trapped in the seal of the filler arc. Now, this next filler arc is known as the Grand Championship Saga, or the Grand Championship Arc, whatever have you. Some people call it the KC Grand Prix Arc. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because apparently all the duelists are cars. and
Ka-chow.
Yeah, you're right. Ka-chow, Kaiba. But yeah, this is the plot revolving around the German antagonist. I'm not making this up. What's his name? Oh God, his name is Siegfried von Schroeder. And he is as German as they come. So, Natalie, you're introduced. What was your first impression of this saga when it came out? When you started watching this?
When I started watching it this week.
Right.
Because I was out of Yu-Gi-Oh! I lost interest at this point when I was a kid. I jumped ship before this arc hit. Right. So I only saw clips of it through AMVs because my friends and I did those. Yeah. So I'd seen clips, but I'd never sat down to watch an episode, and I had no interest. So I had extremely low expectations going into this.
Oh goodness. For the most part, as a kid, because my memory on this one's hazy, as a kid though, I thought the idea was pretty interesting when it was introduced, because of marketing alone, the way they advertised it in America. But I believe we got the opening changed slightly, so we got a bunch of different duelists showing up, and it had a lot of promise to me. When we saw these new people with dual disc and going in, I was like, wow, this is definitely going to look interesting. And then I started watching, and I was like, oh. And apparently my brain was like, we'll never speak of this again, because the minute we got into this March Marathon madness monstravaganza, my brain shut off and was like, the Grand Championship Saga happened, right? And I'm like, crap, it did. It totally did. And so both of us had to do a lot of research on this one.
Right. Just
to remember what happened. How the Pharaoh has to retrieve his memories.
Yeah.
We had to go back and look back in time. So, that ended up happening. And this one, so what happens in this saga is that it's literally bouncing immediately off of the Seal of Orichalcos stuff. Mm-hmm. So they're hanging with Duke Devlin and Rebecca Hawkins, and Rebecca's still all over Yugi, even calling him he's got a nickname for him.
Schmoopy.
Schmoopy, and I'm just
it's so funny.
So stupid. Just I was just about to say, what if he just goes Yami, Schmoopy-o?
Yami Schmoopy.
Damn it, Schmoopy.
Oh my God.
Curse you, Schmoopy.
Stop.
Right, just plots him against him. But so when that ends up happening, Duke Devlin is still in America with the others, and he's just like, hey, what are your guys' plans on going back home to Japan? And they're just like, Pegasus gave us plane tickets to get here, but he didn't tell us how to get back. Which is messed up, by the way. Pegasus is just like, you figure it out, Yugi boy.
Yeah. Round trip? I don't think so.
Right.
Way.
No round trip for you, Yugi boy. This is United. Just left him just left him out there. It's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
So Mokuba shows up on cue, and he's like, yo, my brother can take you guys back, but there's a catch. You have to participate in this fillery ass tournament. They're just like, we got nothing else to do for another 15 episodes, so I guess we're down. So, what do you think of this connection though with the plot from Seal of Orichalcos moving on to this one?
I thought it was interesting because originally I didn't know that these filler arcs connected. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice that it starts off like you said, like, oh, Rebecca's still here, everyone's still here. It's like, oh, okay, there's some continuity. It's not, ship them off on a boat. Hey, here's some new people. So I kind of like that.
They could have easily just had Joey and the others hang out at school and then just Kaiba announce a tournament, right? And Rebecca just flew back to Japan to enter in it. Like, they could have easily done that, but they decided to take the extra step and make this based off of the events that happened last time. So yeah, like you said, I do respect that. But yeah, so they move on and they're headed to Kaiba Land. And the weird part is that Kaiba Land was already introduced way back in season 1, but now they gotta show it off again as if it's his first time showing up. And it's basically this giant amusement park. And it's so weird to see, like, when Kaiba's kid self is shown off through these.
Yeah.
Because he's always so damn serious, so you forget that he's still 16 and back then he had an imagination. Because he's like a corporate stronghold. It's just like, everyone get on the Blue Eyes White roller coaster. It's
the
a
meeting
small
is on the roller coaster.
It's just like Joey. Like, Joey's one of those elves in the little cave. Yeah, it's a small world after all.
Oh my god. Jeez.
So yeah, you see this and everybody's having a great time, and one of the attractions is the KC Tech computer system. It's a dueling computer that duels as a simulation to help other duelists get better at their card game. So it's basically how can I put this? It's basically Duel Links before Duel Links existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so kids can set the level to whatever they want based on their dueling skill. And, some kids were playing against the duel machine. One kid lost, and then this other kid was showing up, and his deck was trash. It only had, like, monsters in it, for real, and just, like, basically what Joey's deck was. And I kind of find it weird how none of the kids know who Joey is, but they know who freaking Rebecca Hawkins is.
When they're like, oh, you lost it. I'm like, he's still got Battle City and Duelist Kingdom. Like, he's not unknown.
Right, he's got Battle City and Duelist Kingdom. Yeah. He's been recognized in like 2 tournaments of being the finalist in both. So it's kind of weird. They try to invite Mai, I believe, as well, but Mai's just like disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, she gets some silent cameos, which is cool, but it's also like weird.
Yeah, it's just like, this would have been definitely a good time for Mai to show up. I mean, she needs some redemption, I believe, and this would have been the tournament to do it. I think they just didn't want her to lose again for the sake of the plot.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, that could have helped her character development. She could have come to grips with losing or something.
Yeah, she could have had fun in this tournament. Because this one, there's no death.
Right, there's no stake. Nobody has to die.
Yeah.
But Kaiba can't enter the tournament because he's too busy trying to fix the damage from the Seal of Orichalcos stuff. I think that's kind of interesting that Kaiba's like trying to seeing the corporate side of Kaiba, seeing him actually being an executive. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because I didn't realize how much of that we were missing, like, in the show, because it's just, dueling, and it's like, oh yeah, you did want to build a theme park. Like, I forget that you have a business other than, when the big 5 aren't trying to kill you over it. But
I believe, now this is going to be a stretch right here. This is going to be a super stretch, so you can call me out on it if you think it's bullshit. So basically how, remember, I can't even remember his name, unfortunately. Seal of Orichalcos review happened literally less than a week ago, and I've immediately forgotten.
Alistair?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. You know how Alistair got mad at Kaiba for the whole Kaiba Corp situation? It wasn't his fault at all.
Yeah.
I believe this is vaguely why Kaiba is locking more down on Kaiba Land.
That's cool. Least, I like that.
That's what I like to believe. Is like he's focusing more on the fun aspect. That's why nobody's dying in this one. No one's life is at risk. It's just harmless fun and a harmless amusement park. At least that's what I like to believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he's not going to enter in the tournament. And then we do see, however, Rebecca's going to sign up, obviously. Yugi's signing up. Joey's signing up. We get a lot of interesting other duelists that are kind of... They're too close to their themes. Like, they stick with a theme, and then they stick with it. Like, Mako Tsunami, to me, was always pushing it. It's like the fisherman duelist.
Yeah.
But we got like a monkey man here. We got a doctor who believes that when he's like conducting surgery in the duels and shit.
Oh my god. Yeah, because he's like, hand me my deck. Like he has nurses with him.
Right,
Oh God,
and like
so
they're
funny.
wiping like his head with a napkin, and just like, are you serious? Is this so for real right now? So we've definitely got some cartoon characters, for lack of a better word. And then we've got Leon, who's entering the tournament as Leon Wilson. Yeah. But that's all we can say for now. But moving back to the whole Kaiba Land situation, one kid places his deck in there and he's going to duel the machine, but the machine ends up getting haywire, gets hijacked by somebody, and because it gets hijacked, it shoots all the way up to level 5, and the kid already entered his deck in, so that's the deck that's going to be used for the duel. But the kid obviously can't duel a machine that's at pro level, so Yugi has to take the helm and use the kid's deck in order to pull off a victory on this machine. What do you think of this duel?
I thought it was kind of weird because how they're saying, like, damn, this kid's deck is shit. But then, like, Yugi can still win anyway. Like, oh, there's this perfect card. I'm like, well, then it's whatever.
It's like Underdogs Rising or something like that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Heart of the Underdog or something.
Yes, Heart of the Underdog.
They make fun of Joey for it.
Yeah. So, as much crap as we're giving this, I actually do kind of feel this is interesting. It's something I also feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely needed to do more of in the past. It's like have Yugi use different decks. He's used Kaiba's deck before, but Kaiba's a pro duelist. So it did increase a level of tension, I believe, to have Yugi use his crappy deck against the level 5 computer. Because at that point, they're trying to prove that it's the duelist, not the cards.
And plus, I think for me personally, like, one of the things that bothers me a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, like, you know how they always have the perfect card just for one duel,
right,
to get them out of it. So it's like, at least with this, it's the excuse of you don't have any expectation of what's in that deck, so nothing is like, hey, where did that come from? So
he just had he just had like a bunch of low-level dragon monsters, I believe, in the deck.
Yeah,
and then like 2 effect dragons, just 2. And then he had like 1 or 2 magic cards, and then Yugi put that 1 card in his deck, and it made the difference. So
right,
it's a duel that just sort of comes and goes, but I do like the idea. Like I wish it was something that was experimented on a lot more, where I love conditions in duels.
Yeah.
Like, and I know we'll talk about this later when we talk about the spin-off stuff, but I like how, like, there was this one time in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, Yusei doesn't have his deck, but everybody in prison has, like, a couple of cards, so they all give Yusei their cards, and Yusei uses a deck compiled of, like, a bunch of prisoners. Cards.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I like that. I like the idea behind that. Is like there's dueling, but we don't know what's gonna happen because we don't know what they have. So yeah, that's pretty fun. So Yogi beats the machine. Kaiba gets notified of the hijacker, so he needs to find out who the hijacker is. So it's very plausible that the hijacker is going to be in the tournament. Now Yugi himself is going to be in the tournament, but not as a participant. He's going to be the championship duel. Whoever wins the tournament is able to duel Yugi. So Yugi's sort of a final boss situation now. What do you think of that?
I like that because otherwise, if Yugi's in it, he's probably gonna win. So this just kind of like pushes him to the side, and it's like, okay, we already know he's gonna win. He's safe for the end. Let's have everyone else go and have fun. So.
It's definitely something I wish could be used for any other arc except this one.
Yeah.
But I agree with you 100% there. I love the idea that Yugi is the final duelist you have to face. That he's like it made it feel like a video game to me. Like he's the final boss. He's the Red of Yu-Gi-Oh! And definitely it makes his King of Games title feel more relevant.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's like you get the chance to dethrone Yugi if you win.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do love the idea of that. That's probably the one thing that saves this tournament from just being a Battle City bootleg. Because it definitely would have been if that would. This would have been a cheap Battle City knockoff if it weren't for that one little addition. So the tournament goes as follows. There's a bunch of different duelists and they duel in different blocks. So there'll be like block A, block B, block C, and they're all dueling pretty much around the same time. So, just to keep things moving. Mm-hmm. And because for the sake of brevity, they need to shorten this. So yeah, and the first duel I believe to kick off is I'm trying to see. Well, the first duel we have is Joey's duel. Joey versus I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Apnarg
Odom, which everybody knows is Yugi's grandpa Solomon Moto. Because Agnard Odom is Grandpa Moto backwards.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant. Way to go, Jackie Chun. But yeah, so oh goodness. So the point here though is he wants to have one last duel with Joey as a way to teach him. Since Joey is technically Grandpa's disciple, and everybody knows except Joey. This was just so frustrating.
Yeah.
What did you think of this duel?
Literally, the whole disguise thing made me think of like Team Rocket and Pokemon.
Prepare for trouble.
Like Grandpa just puts on a pair of sunglasses. Jordan, who dis?
Who that is, Yugi?
Yeah. It's so funny. Especially because when Joey's like, man, I feel like I know you. I'm like, oh my god, Joey, you're so dumb. But it's I don't know. The duel itself, I mean, it was good, because I guess we never really get to see Grandpa duel. Yeah. And it was kind of interesting, because, he and Arthur apparently had a bet going on regarding getting certain cards together, so that's kind of interesting because it's like, hey, Grandpa had a life and has ambitions outside of just sitting at the game shop.
It seems to me like the only time we really get any Solomon Moto backstory is when Arthur Hawkins is involved. When Rebecca was introduced, during the Seal of Orichalco stuff, and during this as well. Apparently they were trying to make the ancient meet the requirements to summon ancient dragon. But to do so, they needed a specific combo of cards. So Solomon wound up finding the last one, which was the ancient key. So Joey ends up dueling this ancient dragon, but he's able to destroy the ancient temple, which destroys the ancient dragon itself. Now, it is cool to see Grandpa duel, but it sort of mitigates the Blue Eyes White Dragon was my very treasured and special card. But I have cards better than it.
So I don't really need it anyway.
Right. I guess it's just the thought that counts. I mean, if you really want to look at it, it's because marketing has gone way past the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's very interesting. I like the goofy play along with the Grandpa being in disguise. The next duel we've got is new character Vivian Wong versus Rebecca Hawkins. And also I'd like to point out this, because I wanted to point this out earlier. Rebecca Hawkins' design looks different in this arc now. Yeah. She's kind of reverted back to her first debut.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, it's like a mix. She has the half-cut glasses from the Seal of Orichalco's arc, but she's got the pigtails from her original debut. So it's just this weird hybrid Rebecca.
I suppose maybe I'd have to look at the pictures to compare them, but couldn't it be Orichalco's? Wasn't she in more of a school uniform?
I think so, yes.
Because maybe this is her out of school outfit.
I don't know. I think the idea was for anyone who skipped the Seal of Orichalco's arc but somehow still knew who Rebecca was. We needed a way to identify her, but it's really?
Yeah.
Oh, but I don't know. I liked her Seal of Orichalco's design better. And it's so sad. Yeah. Rebecca has 3 different designs. Meanwhile, Yugi's looked the same since season 2.
Yeah, they should have brought back, because if it's like Rebecca got her outfit back, they should have brought back that, like, black and gray jacket Yuki had versus Duke.
The Dungeon Dice Monsters outfit. I love his Dungeon Dice Monsters outfit. Yeah, like I wish they had used that, but and I think the other characters, get different clothes too, or either that or they're still wearing clothes from like the Seal of Roy Calco stuff.
I think it's still Seal. Yeah, except
because they haven't made it home yet.
In her cameo, Mai's cameo shots, she was back in her Battle City stuff. Not Roy Calco. So I was like, why? Like I don't understand.
Yeah. So I guess they just did that so we can for easy recognition. But so in this one, Vivian Wong. She's a lot like she's Chinese, right?
Yeah,
that's her whole gimmick. Yeah, that's her whole gimmick, right? She's Chinese. I didn't like her. I'm gonna be 100% honest.
Yeah, she's pretty much just. It's like more, like love triangle shipping stuff. For Yugi.
It gave Taya and Rebecca Hawkins another female to contend with.
Right.
So it just turned into this unnecessary, like, Yuki gets all the girls BS.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. She's just... This duel, I think, was mostly off-screen, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
Yeah, it Kaiba, like, started and ended in, like, the half an episode. It was really short.
Because the duel mostly revolved around Joey and Solomon Moto's stuff. And then I believe Kaiba was looking for the intruder.
Yeah.
So, it mostly revolved around those two factors. Rebecca wins the duel, though, which, okay, good for her. I'm glad she didn't get one-offed, because it could have easily lost to this new contender, just for the sake of let's introduce new characters and make them a threat. But no, they have her win, and I'm glad they did, because this is her third duel in the series?
Yeah.
And she won the first time only because Yugi gave up.
Right.
Yeah, little Yugi gave up because he had the card soul release. So it's good to see Rebecca being competent in this arc at least. Yeah, I mean, she didn't win her national title for no reason.
Right.
Right. Okay, so the next duel is, apparently some dude was supposed to duel Siegfried Lloyd.
Was it like the magic person?
Yeah, some magic man. But what ends up happening is Weevil and Rex, since they're still involved with the others, they go the Team Rocket route again and steal this guy's outfit and play as him. But they get exposed when he trips and falls. And at this point, Siegfried's just like, let him duel anyway. And I guess Kaiba allows it, by the way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Kaiba doesn't care. He just wants to see someone's ass get beat.
Now you say that, and when you say that, I'm gonna put what you said in a little folder. Okay, we're gonna save that for later. Okay, we're just gonna put that in a little folder. Siegfried, obviously, since he's the villain, if you haven't made it very obvious enough, everything is pointing to him being the villain. By the way, even if you didn't watch the opening, you know he's the villain. He beats Weevil and Rex in like 3 turns. With losing no life points. It's an easy win for him. And he's able to move on to the next round, which is against Joey, right? Joey ends up dueling Siegfried, and he loses. Joey puts up a pretty good fight, but Siegfried has like these Valkyrie monsters, and he completely thrashes Joey. So what'd you think of this?
I thought it was a pretty good duel. Like, I was interested because I think Joey does have the upper hand for the first part of it. So it's like, oh, cool, Joey's gonna win. So at least, like, it seems more balanced. Like, I couldn't tell immediately who was gonna win, which is nice.
I like the environment they dueled into. I think it was like a volcano area.
Yeah, the lava starts going off because everything in Kaiba Land's, like, bugged and glitching, so... Yeah,
because of all the hacks. And Kaiba's desperately looking for the hacker.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad about this duel, though, because this is Joey's final duel.
Yeah,
it ends like this.
What a note to end on.
Right, it ends with him being in a very, like, Joey's always been in, like, it feels like he's good, like, he's a good duelist and he's gotten better. But if you look at his rankings, it feels like he's going backwards. He was 2nd place in Duelist Kingdom. He was 4th place, I believe, in Battle City.
In Battle City.
He's 8th place in this one. So it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, Joey, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? But regardless, he does lose, but Siegfried has like 100 life points left over. So he did put up a good fight, I will say that. So, yeah. And after that, we move on to our next duel, which there's a lot of duels that happen off screen, by the way, during Joey and Siegfried's duel. These are just to get the other contenders out the way. I believe Rebecca and Leon both win their duels respectively during that time, and because they did, it pits Rebecca and Leon up against each other during the next round. And this duel's pretty interesting because I think the entire episode is devoted. There's 2 episodes devoted to both of them. To their duel, which means Rebecca has a pretty good duel going. And what do you think of that?
I kind of liked it just on the basis because I think they say in the episode, they're like, oh, it's the boy genius versus the girl genius. So it's like nice that they're kind of equal on footing. Like we have 2 child characters that are just going at it.
2 children prodigies. I can already see it. Little Karibo hasn't gotten to this yet, but I can already see like, how the hell can 2 kids be good at a children's card game?
Right. Yeah.
How dare these 2 children be good at a children's card game? That's madness.
This is for adults.
Right. Oh, but yeah, so they're both dueling, and for the most part, I want to point out something real fast, and I'm sure you noticed too. I watched the English version of this, right? Which version did you watch?
Oh, I watched English.
Leon's voice.
Yeah.
Does it sound a little familiar? Almost like you heard it before.
Yeah, like
almost like there was a certain
ago, maybe.
Almost like there was a certain arc devoted to this person.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the word arc.
Yeah, he only has one voice.
They didn't even make an attempt to try to disguise it. It's exactly the same, and that pisses me off.
Well, then can I also ruin you by pointing out that it's also Harley in Pokemon?
Well, I knew that already. I know it's Harley, but you know he gets away with it. He gets away with it because that's another universe.
Right.
So I can foolishly just believe Harley sounds like that. But this is in universe, man. Yeah. Noah and him sound exactly the same. They're both children brothers of an already company-owned tycoon master. What?
We might have stumbled on something because they're both 4-letter names. Both got an N in there.
Oh my God!
I don't know.
I'll save all this for the end, but let's focus on this. What did you think of their duel overall? Because at this point we see what Leon's deck is mostly revolved around. It's based on fairy tales.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the theming was kind of funny. Pretty much this whole arc to me was funny, but at least it was different.
Yeah.
So I like the consistency of it, and it was like kind of unexpected what Leon was gonna do. So. Yeah. So
to me, it was good to see Rebecca loses because obviously he has a connection to the plot. But she holds her own. But I like that they hide who Leon Wilson is for the most part, at least in this duel, because we don't learn about Leon until much later. So it is a chance for us. I do like the idea that in these 2 episodes, we just get to see 2 duelists duel, and none of them are like main characters, so it could go to anybody. So this felt like a legitimate duel to me.
Yeah.
This was a legitimate way to show off both characters. While this is happening, I want to point out the fact that Grandpa almost broke his back earlier when looking at Rebecca and Vivian's duel because he was being a flirtatious old man. So he threw his own back out. He was going to root for Vivian, but out of respect for Arthur, he roots for Rebecca. And during all of this, he's sent to the ER because he threw out his back. And then he gets kidnapped. Grandpa gets kidnapped. And while he gets kidnapped by a girl that we thought we saw the last of, but we didn't. Vivian Wong makes her unnecessary return.
Yeah.
So, what you...
Not that Grandpa minds. Grandpa doesn't mind that Vivian kidnapped him. He's kind of into it.
Yeah, right. Which leads into a whole other case of problems.
Right.
Grandpa, we need to talk when we get home.
Oh my god.
About your BDM fetishes.
It's so funny.
But
yeah, because what is it? Like Vivian like sees him in the hospital, and she's like, because even in the dub, she's like, "Oh, I'll fix your back" or something. Like,
yeah,
ew.
she knows like she apparently, since she's Chinese, the character, she knows like these special. That's a terrible name for about Chinese. I'm calling her that from now on. Chinese the character.
Oh boy.
Apparently, since she's Chinese, obviously she knows probably some therapeutic acupuncture, something to cure his back. Obviously, she love you long time type of situation with a happy ending. So because of that, the whole gist of this is she kidnapped Grandpa so that she can blackmail Yugi into a duel. You know, you duel me, and if I win, we're going out. We're dating. And if I lose, I'll return Grandpa back, and Grandpa obviously doesn't want to go back. So
Yugi, please lose.
Right. So it is hilarious. But what did you think of Yugi? I guess they did this to give Yugi a chance to duel, because the show is called Yu-Gi-Oh! Yet he hasn't had a duel since the arc began.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this?
I don't know. Like, I'll be real. I think I zoned out during this duel.
It is a forgettable duel. It's a forgettable duel.
It was just the setup that made me laugh.
Yeah. But Yugi does end up winning. I believe the next one is important events, though. These are big events. Since Leon won the semifinals, he gets to go into the finals along with Siegfried Lloyd. And this is where we start to learn the last name Von Schroeder. Okay? And when Kaiba learns that Siegfried's last name is Von Schroeder, he learns that this because him and the Von Schroeder family have had a large company rivalry, apparently, that's lasted a long time. So we get another backstory into the Kaiba Corporation's, like, business battles. And Von Schroeder's an enemy. And, okay, now, remember that folder I said we wanted to take back where Kaiba just lets rules go in tournaments?
Yep.
Okay, so since Siegfried's last name isn't Lloyd, it's Von Schroeder, he lies about his name. So instead of Siegfried and Leon dueling, Kaiba states that Siegfried Von Schroeder is disqualified from the tournament for a false alias.
I feel like that happened in another tournament.
Let's rewind all the way back to Battle City Finals, right?
Yep.
Where Merrick said he was Merrick, but was really Odeon, right? Where Namu was really Merrick, right? The two characters that lied about their identity. And Kaiba said, and I quote, "I don't care." And let's go fast forward back to when Kaiba saw that Weevil and Rex Raptor were disguised as the Magician Man. And he states, "I don't care." Now that we're all caught up, this is bullshit. This is really straight A level 1 Ultramax bullshit.
Yeah.
That Kaiba would suddenly decide to take action now, of all things. What do you think?
No, I totally caught that. I think I just watched this last night or the night before when he was like, "You're disqualified for another name," and I was like, "Really? That's what you're gonna catch him on?" But I suppose you could explain it as like in Battle City, Merrick had God card shit, so Kaiba was like, "Whatever, you can stay in. I don't care." And then with Rex and Weevil, he's like, "Well, you guys suck, so I don't care."
I think Siegfried lets
them
go ahead.
Me and my company.
Yeah, I think Siegfried says he wants to go ahead to give the people a show. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when Kaiba learns that Siegfried is the hacker, I think it's mostly because he's the hacker too. I think if he wasn't the hacker, I don't think Kaiba would have cared as much. But because he was the hacker, and because it was Von Schroeder of all people, Kaiba immediately calls him out. Now, Siegfried places a position in this tournament because he wants entertainment more than anything else. He says, "Okay, you know what? I won't I will leave if you can beat me in a duel. So I think this is just cheaply our chance to get Kaiba to start dueling Siegfried.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the condition is that Kaiba duels Siegfried, and if Kaiba wins, he will leave the tournament. If Siegfried wins, then he will, continue the whole invasion that he's been slowly seeping in. Well, in the duel, Kaiba obviously wins. He's got 50 life points left, but he does win the duel, and it spans for 2 episodes, by the way. So, what do you think of this duel in particular?
I mean, it was interesting because the back and forth, I guess, but
yeah,
I don't know. And it sounds really shallow, but one thing that bothers me is like the animation. This arc is so bad.
I was just, you know what? I'm so glad.
So
I think this is a good time to touch on that. I was going to touch on it towards the end, but
yeah.
we will touch on it now. For those of y'all who may not know, I don't know what happened between Orichalcos and this arc, but the art style is atrocious.
Yeah, it gets bad.
Character models went from being like shiny and crisp to being like near season 1 bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like what exactly happened? Characters look like they're so off model. They look like they're just it's gross.
It really is.
So what were your thoughts when you saw this overall then?
Like the art overall? Or
yeah, the whole
overall?
arc overall. We'll just talk about it now since we've pointed out the pink elephant in the room.
Geez, like the art style and stuff, I was like, this looks cheap. Like, not only does maybe the plot feel cheap, it just looks like, this got sent to some third-party studio, or they're like, just push it out, we need it done. So it really, I don't know. If it looked cool, I would have been more invested, but it didn't look cool.
Yeah, this is bad. I mean, like, especially when you look at characters you've been looking at for a while. It's especially noticeable on the older characters. The newer characters, I think, get a pass because we're not familiar with their models. Whereas, like, Yugi, what did they do to you?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. These characters look terrible. Me too. This duel was just one of those, like, focusing more or less on the animation and art style and less on the duel itself. I mean, Kaiba won, and that's good for him because technically this is Kaiba's last duel too, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they wanted to end him, and they wanted to end him on a good note. One thing I do want to point out though is that Mocha was like, Kaiba's too busy running the business in order to participate. but he's been in the tournament the whole time.
Yeah.
Like he shows up on a jetpack.
Oh my god, I love that. He shows up
in person on a jetpack, and he's just like, well, are you all ready for the big show? It's just like, okay, sure. And I think this was just to stroke Kaiba's ego too. This was just a big like Kaiba ego stroke duel.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
he wins, and I guess they wanted to have Kaiba beat the big bad in the saga. And I'm
quote unquote big bad.
Right, quote unquote big bad. And I guess since this is a plot twist, I get, well, in the loosest sense. Mm-hmm. I guess the idea is that they wanted Kaiba to get rid of the main villain that we see usually in the openings and everything to show off, hey, he has taken down the main threat, but there's a different main threat. So it turns out that Leon is not Leon Wilson. He has a alias as well, which Kaiba doesn't fire him for, which Kaiba doesn't disqualify him for. Yeah. Leon's last name is Leon von Schroeder. So he's the little... Dun, dun, dun. He is the younger brother of Siegfried von Schroeder, and he's a dueling prodigy because dueling was his way to connect with his family, and people respect him because of his skills. So there it is. Also, I want to point out, if Siegfried von Schroeder is definitely German, thick accent.
I know! I brought that up last night when I was watching.
So if Siegfried von Schroeder is super German and Leon's his brother, why isn't he German?
I don't know.
Like, where's his accent?
Their parents have a super thick accent. So I'm like, did they just send Leon away to like English boarding school? And he...
You know what? Knowing Yu-Gi-Oh and knowing that they're probably rich, I wouldn't throw that opportunity away.
Yeah.
But in order for that to happen, he would have had to have been transferred like by birth.
Yeah.
Because he's exposed to like all this German terrible accents, and he doesn't have one himself. So it's just so jarring to see this.
Right, and that's the thing. It's like I could understand they gave the villain a German accent because it's like it makes him more evil.
Right,
and then it kind of severs. Like, oh, why would they be connected?
Right,
but then when you find out they are, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so it's like give him a German accent. Give him a German accent. What about Leon?
No, they're brothers.
Make him sound like Noah.
Yeah.
And here's my only theory as to what happened. And this is dumb if it is the case. That means there's no communication. Two things may have happened. One, the writers of the English dub voice actors, the dub team, probably did not know that Leon was going to be Siegfried's younger brother. Which I think that's bullshit. They probably didn't know.
Yeah, I think they did.
Two, they probably didn't want to blow Leon's cover.
Right. That's what I think.
Yeah, because if he starts speaking German, along with the only other German-speaking character in the show,
right,
then game over.
Yeah.
He would have been exposed immediately. Everyone would have been like, he has some connection to Siegfried. What is that connection? So I think they did that to cover his tracks, which is very messed up. I feel like there could have been another way to combat this by, I don't know, making Siegfried not sound German.
I know.
They could have just made him.
I'm sure that there's no. I mean, I can't say because I don't speak fluent Japanese, but I don't think he would have a German accent in Japanese. The original, so like, why add it?
If they did want to give him a German one, make it like so he's English German, so he occasionally says German things. So then you can make the argument. Yeah, he's from Germany, but he's the older brother, and thus his accent would be slightly thicker than his younger brother's.
Yeah.
But that's just Monday night quarterbacking at this point. So we move on, and Leon von Schroeder is allowed to duel Yugi because Siegfried is disqualified. Because Siegfried is disqualified. So Leon immediately gets a spot to duel Yugi. And this is where things get interesting. Since Leon von Schroeder is dueling against Yugi, before that happens, Siegfried gives him a card and puts in his deck. While the two are dueling, Leon's actually putting up a pretty good fight against Yugi before, the big whole point of this arc. The secret weapon, if you will. And during all of this, Leon explains his backstory and why he does what he does because he wants Siegfried's respect. Now, what do you think of the first half of this duel before we reveal the big part of this duel?
Like his backstory stuff?
Just the backstory of these two antagonists.
I thought it was well, the first half it's like I could understand it because Leon's whole thing is like I mean it's similar to like Kaiba in the terms of like, oh, like my family and I weren't close. But like Siegfried is like a straight up asshole to Leon and there's like no redemption to it like how Kaiba has with Mokuba. Yeah. So it's not the same, but Leon, it makes sense because he's like, oh, I have fairy tale cards because I just used to read fairy tales all the time because no one like talked to me. Right. So, yeah. So,
to me, this duel was a lot to really explain on a character towards the last few episodes of a duel. So there's a lot of cramming backstory, but at least they gave him a backstory, so I'm not upset by it. I do find it weird how Yuki summons the Dark Magician Girl and he just sort of like flirts with it. I'm like, dude, calm down. It's a card.
Yeah, I thought that was very blatant of like, don't like at the audience, don't you think she's cute? And I'm like, we've seen her like for many seasons now. Right.
So at this point though, we get the big plot reveal and the ace behind Siegfried's plan. Leon plays a card known as the Golden Castle of Stromberg? Something
like that.
Yeah, the Golden Castle of Stromberg. And when he plays this card, several things happen. Now, it causes a virus to the systems of Kaiba Corp, which causes a giant problem. I'm not sure how a card's able to do this, but whatever.
Right.
It causes a giant virus towards the entire, Kaiba Corporation. And in addition, what this also does, it originally had text that stated that both duelists have to discard half of their deck every turn. But Siegfried changed the rules of the card, so it's only the opponent discards half his deck during each turn. And in addition to this, the opponent can't use spell or trap cards, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah.
Just some nonsense. Some OP nonsense. And you know how earlier we said the Seal of Orichalcos at least got to become a card later on, years after the arc was over, just to celebrate it, and they were able to balance it out. Golden Castle of Stromberg never makes an appearance as far as I'm concerned. It's not real, nor does the world want it to be real, and for good reason.
Yeah.
This card sucks. And Yugi's locked in, and he's having a hard time because he has to discard half of his deck like literally every turn. And the dumbest thing happens. The dumbest thing to crumble this castle and Siegfried's plan. Yugi's deck gets cut down to one card left in his deck. And since you can't cut one in half, the castle just falls. It's such a stupid way to win.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? The fall
That's
of
what I saw. Because when they're like, oh, you don't have one, I'm like, well, really? Wouldn't you have to discard your last card anyway? Like, I would assume it would default to get rid of it rather than don't lose anything, and Yugi would lose. So
the card wasn't going to, at least in parentheses, say if the opponent has one card, discard.
Yeah.
And then as a kid, I thought I overthought things a lot. And I was like, in my mind, what if Yugi had like 13 cards?
Right.
What's half of 13?
Right, and you would probably like round up, and so he should have lost.
Yugi just discards like 6 cards and tears one in half.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like this was a problem that should have entered the minute this card was played on the field. I'm just like, come on now, really?
Yeah.
Half your deck, half of it. Right. That's a bit absurd. You could just say like Yugi discards 10 cards every turn or something.
Yeah.
And that would have solved it. But I guess they wrote themselves into a corner. It was like, if we again. So because the castle falls, Yugi only has one card left. So theoretically, he should be able to win the duel. But it's Yugi, so bet you forgot what the show's called. So he wins. And Yugi's still king of games. And what do you think of that overall duel?
I mean, after we talked about Orichalcos, I was like, this is just Orichalcos on steroids with the whole like, oh, I've hacked your system and now, my card can't be beaten by this or this or this. And the part that got me too was that Leon couldn't surrender.
Huh?
Like Leon was not able to surrender because he's like, oh, I'll just give up. And he's like, nope, can't do that either. Like, I've
what? I completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to remember
so
why couldn't he give up again?
It was like part of the glitch. Like you're locked in battle. You cannot surrender. That was it.
He could walk away. The door's right over there.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't get that.
It seemed like I liked the idea that the younger brother was supposed to be the biggest threat versus the older brother. But this seemed very convoluted. It feels like they were trying so hard to make Leon a good character and genuine, and then turn him into a bad character later. But it doesn't work out that well when everything is against him being a bad character.
Yeah, so pretty much Siegfried's just shouting from 20 feet away.
Right, it's kind of like what happens when you take the main character, the main antagonist, away from the main protagonist. So you have to make the main antagonist antagonize the protagonist from a distance.
Yeah.
Like if Jafar were to die and it was like, it's up to you, Iago.
Oh my god.
Like that's the real life comparison of what just happened. Well, the Disney equivalent.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, it was a lot to ride on to make like a unique villain. And its ending result is that it ends up being more forgettable than anything else, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So after that, the saga immediately ends. Like, they all just go home after that. They're like, good, let's shake. And then we obviously are going to move on to our next arc after that. So I got to ask, what, for lack of a better words, what do you think of that? All of it.
Well, one of the other reasons I rewatched a lot of the dub, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and I purposely skipped this because of Siegfried's voice.
It's atrocious. It's like bad German.
It's Drew's voice, but with a German accent. Like, it's legitimately his voice actor.
Oh, goodness. So, I'm so sorry.
Exactly, so I skipped it. I braved it this week, but, yeah, it was an experience, and I don't think I'm going to forget it, and I'm kind of angry about it.
I am sorry I made you go through that. I apologize.
That's okay.
I feel like a terrible person.
It's so
because me watching it, I was just like, oh man, Natalie's gonna have an aneurysm over here. This is terrible. You didn't have to, like, I was watching this and I was getting so disappointed. It was just such a waste of my time to see, like, the animation is what offended me the most, I believe. Because if Yu-Gi-Oh does nothing, if it does nothing else, no matter how ridiculous the plots get, no matter how absurd the writing gets, no matter how bad the dialogue or character development can get sometimes, the art style and animation usually stay on point. Like, even during episodes you just, would take for granted. Dungeon Dice Monsters was just a thing, but it still looked just as good as, like, Battle City and Duelist Kingdom and stuff like that. So it breaks my heart to see how little effort they put into this saga. Yeah, like everything, and you just get stereotype cardboard cutout duelist. Rebecca, I think, to me, is like the highlight of this whole tournament, sadly. And that's only because we get to actually see her be competent for once, rather than just being a means to Yugi's ends.
And even with her, though, with her duel with Leon, it kind of annoyed me, because, like, she starts losing, and she's like, oh, I can't duel without Yugi here. I'm like, girl, you are, like, the U.S. champion. What is your problem?
Right, and you dueled without Yugi in the Seal of Orichalcos arc. I mean, you lost, but...
whatever.
Which is sad, too. I like her deck strategy. It's supposed to be like a drain and gain situation, where she doesn't really fight you directly. She mostly relies on cards like Spark and Hinotama and like magic cards that decrease your opponent's life points without directly hurting battling, and then she has other cards that heal her life points, so while you're trying to break her down, she's destroying you from the inside out. So yeah, I do like that situation, but it's wasted towards the end because main characters.
Right.
It almost has me believe that, like, Yu-Gi-Oh, at least this series, can have a series that revolves around the supporting cast. Like, without Yugi. I feel like that's possible.
Yeah.
Like, how
it's possible, but then they, like, pull it out at the last minute.
Yeah, you know how Pokemon has, like, a Pokemon Chronicles with all of the with all the characters outside of Ash?
Right.
This could have been like that, but it unfortunately was not.
Yeah.
And Joey just winds up disappointing to me, at least to the end, because he ends on a very lackluster note. Yeah, he lost because he had to fight the villain, which, okay, I'm glad they made Joey and Kaiba duel the main villain. But, I think it's the bad art style and animation that defeats their efforts.
Yeah.
Kaiba, he's alright. They didn't even change outfits this season, so we didn't get to see them in other outfits. Just the lack of effort is what kind of ruins a lot of this for me. So, yeah, this season was just... Seal of Orichalcos, if Seal of Orichalcos to me was like a C+, this would be a D- at best.
Yeah.
Like, this one, just... It had interesting concepts, but it fell flat. Is there anything you want to add to that, or...?
No, that's pretty much my thing. It's just a lot of the same themes we've seen before, and, like, whether it's Noah or Battle City, but just a worse version.
right down to the voice.
Yeah.
Just, like, the flimsy rules, which is sad. Like I said, this arc started off good by introducing the whole Yugi fighting off against the dual robot with another deck and stuff like that. And then it just immediately deflates. They're skipping like majority of the duels in the tournament because we need to move this along. And it's almost like the arc is tired of itself.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
And it's like, truthfully, I don't even care about the other duelists because it's like, I don't want to watch a monkey man duel for 4 episodes. Like, those side characters themselves suck. So I'm like, I don't want to see them.
You know you want to see Monkey Man trilogy. No. You know Yu-Gi-Oh! Into the Monkey Man trilogy.
Tristan versus Monkey Man.
And this
robot Monkey Man.
And this season's bananas.
Oh no.
Oh, but yeah, just this arc. The Blue Eyes Like Dragon looks atrocious.
It looks so bad.
It's not white, it's just blue. Like they use their MS Paint animators for this one, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh my god.
It was
It makes me feel better about my art. Like, damn, I wish I could have drawn stuff for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right, it was so bad. So, I think we're about done here. We've picked on this arc enough. And any closing thoughts? Anything?
Closing thoughts, watch it with friends so you can laugh about it.
I wouldn't put my friends through this personally. I'm sorry I put you through this, to be perfectly honest.
It was an experience.
It was something. It was definitely something. So, yeah, with that said, you can... Normally, you know what? I encourage people to watch some of the filler stuff in the Duel Monster Saga because at least they play around with the characters and put them in unique spots. Like, we got Serenity dueling and stuff. This is worse than Noah's Arc. This is worse than the Orichalco's arc. This is the worst one they've got. Skip it if you can. like Natalie said, if you have to watch it with friends just to laugh at it. But this is definitely one that, like, you gotta move on. You can't just if you pass this one up, nobody will blame you. Because that's how jarringly bad it is. Yeah. So yeah, with that said, we're gonna end on that note. It's time to Drew. That's Natalie's Twitter. That's her Tumblr. That's her YouTube. Go check out her stuff. She's got great content. She tweets out a lot of cool Yu-Gi-Oh stuff on her Twitter. So if you're into that, go check that out. She makes AMVs on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure what's on her Tumblr because I don't go on Tumblr a lot.
Just more junk.
More junk, all right.
Junk.
So if you like junk, then go to her Tumblr. But with that said, the next arc we will do, obviously, is the final arc in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monster series. It's it's called two things. It's called Dawn of the Duel in America, and in Japan, it's the Pharaoh's Memory arc. So that'll be it. We're on the final stretch. We get to discuss the arc that personally has no duels in it, or barely any.
Yeah.
But it's got Egyptian lore.
Yeah, we're heavy on the lore.
Heavy on the lore. So with that said, we'll see you all then, everybody. Catch you all later. Tyrone the God 3 out.